between games right now. And before we get into the next one, it's discussion time. This is Table Topics, where we read stories from Reddit having to do with situations in the tabletop world. We will react, discuss, and give our opinions on the chosen topics for you to enjoy and possibly take back to your gaming table. I'm your host, Kalee, and my guest today is Ian.
Hello, that's me.
Today's topic is the rules.
Ooh.
So let's get into it. So Ian.
Yes.
Coming to us from the Game Table podcast, of course. You do a lot of teaching.
We definitely do that. So yes, I'm excited to be here, honestly. This is going to be really fun. Yes.
Yeah, you haven't been on since the first episode.
No, we haven't. Neither is Jared, I don't think. Has he? No, he did.
He got to do the conventions episode.
Yes, that's right.
But you were riding shotgun, so you were too far away.
I was listening very carefully, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
You were there in spirit, but you weren't being recorded.
I think I was shouting from the front seat. I'm pretty sure at one point or the other. But no, I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you, and I've gotten you a topic that's, incredibly relevant for the game table. And
absolutely.
We helped teach at Fun K Town together.
We did.
I think we taught Agree to Disagree together.
Yeah. What an interesting game.
Yeah, that was an interesting one to ask strangers to play. You're like, yeah, hi, people you've never met. I need you to judge them immediately.
Yeah, like a lot. Like right now. Yeah, in the moment. Don't even think about it. It's kind of like, that one you decide so quickly. So you have to give this initial just reaction to somebody's hardcore statement. And you're like, anyway, to not know anybody, that was very interesting. But it was a lot of fun, though. We had a lot of fun.
You're like, the only thing I have to go off of is vibes.
Yeah. You're just feeling it out.
Yeah. So, but that was good.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular memory of teaching rules where something went really sideways or?
Oof. I mean, I have a lot of memories of teaching games. I'm trying to think of the one that particularly stands out. No, actually I do. I remember there was a scenario where I was teaching a game of werewolf, or mafia or whatever you call it, depending on where you're from. But yeah, this game of werewolf that I was teaching, and I totally botched it. I just forgot rules. I don't know if I was it was definitely the first time I taught a big group of adults. I taught teenagers, and they're they're goofy anyway, but this is adults, and so I just botched it really hard. And so then people, then when you botch rules like that, then everybody doesn't really know what's going on, and then a rule's missed, and then they come back on you on why didn't you tell me that? And so I remember that was not a good experience. It was a bad time.
Yeah.
For me. I think everybody else they would probably just admit that it was just fine, but maybe in my head it was just a disaster.
Well, it is stressful, because people that take it very seriously can feel disadvantaged because they're I didn't know that was a rule.
Right.
Getting fussy about it. So there's some pressure in that situation.
There is a lot. There's a lot of there can be a lot of tension when because a couple of my friends are very just competitive, and so if I miss, I have to be really careful with them because I have to make sure I teach the rules correctly because they get back on me. I'm like, I didn't think it was relevant at the time. I do. There's some things I'm sure we'll talk about this, is that there's some things that I don't share early in a game because it doesn't apply, and it's not, you can plan for it. So you have to be very delicate in that. But with some people that do like to know everything before we get started, it is important. So I like to have to share everything before we get started.
I've definitely done that. I've definitely been there's gonna be more that comes up when we're totaling at the end of the round or something like that, and then I'll talk about more.
Yeah.
But right now, just go. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's challenging. It's a very delicate balance of teaching that you have to manage.
Well, We're going to see how some other people have managed this.
I'm excited to hear what's going on
situation.
here. So.
Our first story comes from r/relationship advice from Unlikely Comfort 800. My 32 male wife, 32 female, likes to play board games without the rules, and I find it completely unenjoyable. Should we just stop playing board games? So me and my wife have different interests and struggle to find hobbies to connect on. Early on, when we met, I organized a board game group, which she joined, and there used to be an ongoing joke between members with some light hazing about how she would cheat at games. She literally couldn't stop herself. It was a little frustrating for me, and I used to try and police her a little when playing board games, but we wouldn't take it too seriously, as it was just a game night for fun. Fast forward 4 years, and we are married, and we can't play games together. We tried to play our first game of speed chess tonight, and we were enjoying the beginning where she was beating me, but she ran out of time, afterwards proclaiming she won, until we Googled the rules, and I said, let's carry on with a new timer to finish the game. Anytime she made a move that lost her a piece, she would rewind it and make a different move. We finished the game, and then I asked her why she feels the need to do this. It led to a semi-heated conversation where I asked her why we couldn't just play the game normally, and she said she doesn't enjoy it at all. I said it takes all the fun out of a game when I can't even make a move without it being reversed and basically can't ever enjoy a game. I get we are both super competitive, but for me, I love board games, but feel as though I can't share that with my wife. And for her, she feels like I sap all the fun out of the games by playing my way. Is there anything we can do to enjoy board games, or should we just leave the attempts to connect indoors to other types of less competitive activities?
Wow. Oof. Okay. There's a lot happening there.
You're stunned.
I don't know. There's a lot going on there. What should I tackle first? What should we discuss first out of that? There's a lot going on there.
That she's had this relationship for years.
Yeah.
Of cheating, and it seems like it's just like ignoring the rules.
Yep.
Entirely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Well, let's start there. So one. Games are designed to be played by the rules, so that's my go-to. So it is challenging in this scenario. I do think there's some possible relationship strife when it comes to this. So you have to be very careful. You know, I'm no relationship expert, so I'm not advocating for to be that. But I would say that when it comes to games, they should be played by the rules, unless you are going to house rule some things, which is totally fair and happens all the time. So it is challenging though, because when you're playing specific games, I mean, if you don't play by the rules, then it may be unbalanced, it may be not fun, you know, to a normal gamer, I guess. Man, yeah, it's such a challenging thing. Yeah, I don't advocate for, in general, of cheating or changing a bunch of rules. I don't personally do that. That's not something that I've done. But I do know people that do house rule like a lot of things. So that's like, it's totally fair to do.
Sure.
Yeah, that's tough.
I think where it gets tricky is when you're trying to negotiate live.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the game and now it's maybe someone's points are on the line or not. So they're going to argue very strongly for a rule. But if you talk before games and you establish these house rules, then that's kind of a different story.
Right.
But especially with an example of a game like speed chess, if you're undoing your moves,
it kind of defeats the purpose.
You're playing regular chess with the computer where you can undo. That's not fair.
Yes. And the rules should, I guess my suggestion in this is that maybe we should clarify all rules. This is a scenario where, like, before we started this, of me saying I would explain all the rules to this person or at least go through the detailed rules with somebody like this. it sounds like both people, honestly, they're both pretty competitive, it sounds like. And so I think just laying the groundwork for what the rules are before you get started would probably be pretty optimal here. I'm super competitive, so I understand, like, mid-game, you're getting down to it. There's some, there's some moves that like kind of make you bad, and that's all part of the game. So to eliminate as much of that as possible, it might be good to just go over all the different rules. I think that would be a good start here.
Let me ask you this. Would you trust this person to teach the rules?
Which one?
The wife
okay.
in this story.
No.
Surprise!
I would not.
Yeah.
No, just what it sounds like. No, I would not. But yeah, no, I would not.
Because one of the thoughts that I had when you first started talking was like, oh yeah, like let her have the rule book. But then I'm like, no, wait, actually don't.
Actually don't do that. I don't think that's a good idea. No, I wouldn't. But yeah, I've been in scenarios where either at somebody else's game night or at a friend's house or whatever, and so we're playing a game, and I know they're not like a true gamer, but they're telling us about this game, and so like I give people grace when I know, like, I've taught so many games, I've played so many games, like mechanics to me and explanation of a game kind of just is natural because of how many games I played. But for somebody that hasn't had that, like I give them some grace there of like there's opportunity. They're learning the whole, one, there's a whole public speaking aspect if somebody's not super comfortable with that. On top of that, like, especially if you're talking to like a whole group. But I try to have a lot of patience in those moments because I'm like, that's not exactly how I would teach it, but I'm there just for the ride. And so I kind of like set my mind away. I'm like, okay, this is more of we're just hanging out. It's challenging because if I like to play games, how they're designed, and that's not a knock, I'm not trying to be mean, but I like them to play how they're designed, and I'm trying to win. Like, that's just most of the time. There are select games though where like I just go in and I don't really care, and so I'm just we're just there to as a good entertaining experience with the table. So I don't necessarily like I don't care as much about rules. But I don't think you can have an in-between of those, which it sounds like that might be what's happening here. I don't think you can do that. You gotta play by the rules, or you need a game that's just like really loose and it doesn't really have a lot of rules and you kind of just have fun. So
I played Wavelength last night with friends for the first time. Have you?
I haven't played it, but I've seen it. Yeah.
I really liked it.
Okay.
And that was one that we were pretty fast and loose with the rules.
Yeah.
Also, I think there's only like 3 rules.
Right.
So it's kind of easy. But I guess I had in my head that I could only say like one word clues. And then later someone went and said like an entire paragraph. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I just made up that rule. That's not a real thing. But that's a game that you can play fast and loose. Now, if I played a 90-minute game and someone was playing against the rules, and I'd be like, no.
Yeah, that's hard.
Because we're all committed to doing this activity the way that it's written.
Right. It's challenging.
Well, top comment from Baba Yaga Speaks. Should we stop doing something we don't like doing together? Yes. Pretty straightforward.
There you go.
Oh, no, I can't read this name. O'Mallagain? O'Mallagain? Says, you could try different kinds of board games. You talk about chess, but chess is very head-to-head, competitive. Maybe she doesn't like that. And also, chess has very active time pressures and such, which are the result of the huge demand for tournament play and real-world considerations for the realities of hosting a chess tournament. Those things don't need to affect the way you play at home, though. That said, try actually exploring some options. Maybe 1. You could play games that are technically competitive, but where your opponents aren't directly attacking like they do in chess. Maybe something like Azor, Cultivate, Wingspan, Guillotine, Love Letter, Terraforming Mars, Mysterium, Carcassonne, etc. Or 2, if you really want the crunch, you could try games where the effect of a play isn't as obvious initially, which makes retroactively changing the play a lot harder, like Dune Imperium. Or 3, try games where the turns resolve simultaneously, like Seven Wonders or Libertalia. Or you could try co-op games like Pandemic, Forbidden Island, Spirit Island, Gloomhaven, Windward, Eldritch Horror, Scotland Yard, etc. Or 5, you could try less structured gameplay like TTRPGs, even simple ones like Morkborg, Skate Wizards, or you could try bigger systems like D&D, Kids on Bikes, Blades in the Dark. Or you could play something more narrative like Till the Last Gasp, Vampire the Masquerade, or Cyberpunk Red, Mutineer Zero, Pathfinder. The options are so literally endless, and so it seems weird to me that you say you like to play board games together, but then your example is chess. Like, I get that it's technically a board game, but generally it's not what people mean when they say board games. There's just a ton of variety of board games, so much so that the question is really whether you can agree on what to play, and probably less a relationship problem about her competitiveness or anxiety while playing chess specifically.
Yeah, this is a great comment.
It's a full essay.
Yeah, that is a fantastic answer. Which, yeah, no, it brings up something that did come to my head. So every person's different in what they like and what they like to play. And so my wife does not like heavy competitive games like whatsoever. Like and she doesn't like games that are like really long either. So one, yes, chess I would not consider like a normal board game. I consider that like under like the classic, like a classic game, like a, table game or whatever. Chess, checkers, and so on. But yes, if somebody were to tell me this story and they would say, what games should I try instead? I would recommend, based off all of that, of some type of co-op that you're working together, that there are so that competitiveness can be used towards one goal. And so that, you can work together in this scenario and you don't have to fight against each other to do so. And there are a ton of really good cooperative games for this experience and for this situation. But like this commenter said, I do think there are other games that would fit into the category. Like simultaneous play is a great answer. Any of those games are fantastic. And then, yeah, something that's not like an indirect kind of not as aggressive towards other players. Wingspan is, that's something that I always like to recommend. It's a great game. It's chill and there's not a ton of player interaction. It's limited. And so that's a great one. I do want to say they listed off a ton of games that were like kind of like a medium to lightweight. And then they listed Terraforming Mars. And I thought like, Lord, please don't. It sounds like we're already having issues. Terraforming Mars, yes, you don't directly affect other people, but you do. Absolutely. So I would not recommend that one out of that list, but
yeah, I wouldn't recommend Dune Imperium either. Like, I think the point of the effect not being obvious right away is good and very true for Dune. But if any of her activities are stemming from anxiety, that's not it.
Yeah,
that's not it.
I would cut those from the list of games, but they did offer a lot of suggestions. So I think all of those are pretty good. But yes, I would, in this scenario, absolutely. If you're having trouble finding a game that both people won, if you just get mad at each other because the other person's winning, then I would suggest a cooperative of some kind. I think there's a lot of really good ones out. And I do think they make a good point, like either like D&D or something like that as well, like some type of storytelling. But there's also some really good like cooperative storytelling games that have been out. Like we just played a game called Vantage, which is really cool, cooperative, great at 2-player, and it's just a story. Like you basically choose your own adventure. Me and my wife love a game called Tales of the Arabian Nights. Those two games are basically the same. It's just one's brand new and one's older, but you basically choose your own adventure. You, on your turn, like in both of these games, you kind of pick, like, so usually you're like in a location. And so at the location, you interact with something like a person or an animal or something. And then you decide what you do. Like, do I want to fight it? Do I want to run? Do I want to hide? Like the classic things. And then the other person will read what happens to you. And so then you kind of collect experience or points or like treasures and like all these different things. Vantage and Tales of the Arabian Nights, they're like very similar games, but that's the same thing. Like some of them are cooperative, some of them aren't, but in general, like it doesn't really matter because you're having this story together. Stuff like that is what I would recommend to somebody like this, because they don't need to be fighting over each other.
Yeah.
Like, I think a game that allows this experience, this more light, fun rules, is a better game. And I think there is a game for everybody. To answer, I guess, the question that this person asked at the very beginning of this is there's games for y'all. You just have to find the right ones.
I love the idea of the two you just described, Vantage and Arabian Nights. I love storytelling.
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, that's what my podcast is.
Absolutely.
But I love that. And I would really enjoy that in a game. I also think you could even just have a lighter game where the experience is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like Derek and Ashley introduced us to River Valley Glassworks.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that one.
And it's just cute. And it's just pretty pieces that you move around, and you can be as strategic as you want on your turn exactly, and everything will change by the time it gets back to your turn again. So you can't really like pick at what other people are doing. So I think there's options out there. There
are. I mean, there's a lot of games. I don't know what the count is most recently of like games that are still like able to be bought, but I mean, there's probably like millions of them at this point. Like it's an insane amount of games. It's like,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I believe I'd have to look back, but there was like 1,000+ games released just like last year, like let alone. And that's like mostly like the US, but like you're talking games, like fun games, especially across the world. Trust me guys, there's a game for you. Like we will find it. It just, we'll get there.
I participated in like an Instaversary thing on Instagram for a couple of accounts. It was Belle of the Board and Magic and Meeples.
Okay.
And they're just board gaming Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
So one was at their 3-year anniversary and one was at their 1-year anniversary. But what they called for was like, anybody who wants to participate, send us your picture with 4 games that you would want to play if we came to see you on a game night. And what was so cool about that was there were probably 100 or so participants with 100 different sets of 4.
That's crazy.
Like some repeated, like Critter Kitchen came up several times, which made me excited because that's what I've got. And Flamecraft came up a couple times, same excitement. And then some of the people were creators that, of course, were recommending their own games, like Otter by Charming Games and different stuff. But then you would have people that would post, and it would all be space-related heavy games.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of them had like Galactic Cruise, Terraforming Mars, and then like 2 other heavy ones.
That's a long game night. Yeah.
And it was really interesting because they're like, yeah, something different for everybody.
There is. And so like, I mean, there's some people, I mean, I do like some heavier games, but it depends on the night, you know, like if I'm feeling it or not. But like in general, I think if you were to put out like a range of games that I prefer, I think the heavier games is definitely more like what I'm down for. But like you said, you had 100 people, 4 different games, and like not a lot of crossover. And so that's like crazy, you know. That is how, you know, everybody has different tastes, and you know, some games do rise above the rest, like if a lot of people do like them. But overall, like games are games, they're meant to be played, and some people like them more than others, but there's one for everybody, like we said. So
I think they can figure it out. I think you need, I'll give some relationship advice. Since it's on relationship advice, you got to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
You really do. I mean, if it was something that bothered you back when your friend group was bringing it up, and you guys didn't talk about it then, it's already pretty late. But if you're married to this person, you've got to figure this out.
Absolutely.
So you got to talk to her very honestly, very calmly. But you've got to say, hey, I want to do things with you, but
maybe we don't need to do it this way.
Yeah. You got to work with me a little bit.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. I think there needs to be a conversation that's honest here. And then from there they can, you know, rebuild their gaming relationship.
Yeah, make it fun.
Yeah.
Make it a trip to the store together and test some things out.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think because again, my wife didn't play a lot of games and I was a gamer from early on. So I've had to like learn what she likes and be willing to adapt and like be okay with playing games that she prefers. Cause like I'm like heavy stuff where she does not. She doesn't want anything heavy like that. So yeah, it's a relationship. And so you have to do that. You have to compromise a little bit on and find a common ground. It sounds like in this scenario, I mean, they're both kind of competitive. So I feel like they can be used in a good way of finding games that they both enjoy.
And then you can funnel it.
Yeah.
Into a system that works.
Exactly.
Next story. This one comes from r/board games. From Kim Taehua. Am I the problem for not wanting to learn and teach a regular player's game for them? Just wanting to do a bit of a sanity check, because for some reason this is pretty common with the people I play with. I thought that learning and teaching a game is the responsibility of whoever owns the game. I would personally never bring a game and ask someone else to learn it for me beforehand because I'd feel bad, and that just shows that I'm lazy or not willing to put the effort in. A couple of board gaming friends have asked me this and seemed to keep pestering me about it even when I already said no. I had only said yes once because the game is light, so I don't mind. Anything that spans 2+ hours is a never for me. I personally don't enjoy reading rules that much, but I definitely don't hate it. It definitely takes some time with me reading the rulebook and watching some how to play videos. A lot of the other people in my group have been asked the same and said yes, hence the question of, am I the problem for saying no? It has mostly been fine because the people they've asked to learn the rules actually did the homework for them before they came into the session. But then there was a time when they screwed up and didn't inform the other players beforehand, and someone else had to learn the game for them on the spot.
Oh gosh.
So this is tricky.
So can you clarify for me?
Yes.
Okay, so this person, and then there's other people that are also teaching, but then who's asking to teach games?
We don't have a number.
Okay.
But this sounds like maybe a 6-person group or so.
Okay.
And there's a couple of people that are being asked. Like, let's say there's OP and 2 others that are being asked to learn games on behalf of the other half of the group. Which is a little bit of like group project politics.
Yeah. So to answer the first question, I guess I go by the rule that if it's your game, then you should know the rules to your game. So there's that. I have definitely had people ask me to learn a game. That's not a problem. So it's twofold, I guess. So in general, I would say that whoever is game it is, like they should know. Don't you want to know the rules to the game that you own is my question, like so that you can play it. This person, I guess they don't love to teach, which it sounds like, but they're the one that probably, it sounds like, owns the most games potentially, or they at least own some games so they know how to learn a game and teach it, where these other people might be newer. Is that kind of...
Yeah, filling in some of the blanks. Mm-hmm. I bet OP is pretty good at teaching games. Mm-hmm. And so these other people are like, oh, I've bought this big new game. Mm-hmm. Like, go learn it for me. And OP is saying no.
Yeah. So one, I haven't been in this situation a ton. My personality is that I would just say yes and just do it because that's what I do. But I do feel like if it were to happen pretty frequently, then I would be like, actually, I don't know if I can have enough time or whatever, because it is a lot. It's a lot to learn games. Like I already struggle enough to learn all the games that I own, which is a lot. And then to keep there's games that are complicated. So you're like, before another game night, you got to catch up on some rules before you sit down and try and teach a whole group. So it's a lot. It's a lot to teach games, and it's a lot of time, and you got to read rules. And there are videos now, like with some of our game nights, like we would just watch the video together, but I still know the rules before that. and the video kind of refreshes me and everybody, then I can teach the details after that. So it is challenging. In this scenario, I think if it were to happen over and over again, I think it'd be in the same place. I'm like, I don't think I can keep teaching. And again, my rule is like, if you own the game, you should probably learn it. It just makes things easier. And I do have a horror story of my own of, I feel like a scenario like this, and it made me feel terrible. Like, as in it felt so awkward, is that somebody invited me over for a game night, and I looked up the rules knowing, like, I like to know a little bit before, even if like I know they might teach it, I still like look it up. So I like briefly looked up this game, and I went to the game night, and this guy, he had no clue how to play. He didn't even open the rule book. And so then at this point, there are also 3 other people that don't have any clue on this game. Right. And so then I'm now the person that has to teach this. And I like barely looked at it. And so I'm like flipping through the rule book last minute, like trying to, and it was a disaster. It was the worst. It was the worst game night I've ever been a part of. It was terrible. It was terrible. So this sounds like maybe this has happened in this scenario, and I hated that. So yeah, I don't like being thrown on last minute either. So yes, at some point I would probably say no. I think you were totally fair to say that no, I don't want to learn and teach this game. I think that is a totally fair because of what's happened, and it looks like it keeps happening too. So
yeah, I think we have a couple examples of this because, of course, my love story with Flamecraft started because Jared had started his podcast, The Game Table. Mm-hmm. And so he'd amassed all these games, but then like genuinely just couldn't. Well, I don't know that this is true. This is me making an assumption.
It's okay.
Based on my part of the story. But I think he was like having to learn so many games that there was a time period where he was like, anybody else learn anything for me and I will be so grateful. So this was when we still lived in Philly. So I came home for we came here for Christmas, and I saw this game and I was like, oh, that's cute. Artisan Dragons that like make what I took from reading the back of the box was artisan cute dragons make me coffee.
Yeah.
Which is not exactly what happened.
Sure. But it's cute enough.
That's what I took. And I was like, that's great. I was like, let's play that next time. And I came back the next Christmas and it was still in the shrink wrap. And I was like, Jared, we have to learn how the cute dragons make us coffee.
That's right.
And he was like, okay, you take it and learn it then. Mm-hmm. Like you go do it. And that was funny because I did. And I learned it. And I was like, all right, I got it. And I brought it back to the family. But that was a situation where he gave me the game.
Right.
It wasn't him going, okay, learn it. And then like return it to me.
Return it. No, I do remember. That's funny you say that. So that game did sit on his shelf unplayed, and I was like, hey, we should play that sometime. And so I'm glad it has a good owner. You
still haven't gotten to play it. No, I haven't
played it. I want to play Flamecraft. Yeah, I want to play it, but I haven't.
We can make that happen.
Yeah, we definitely should. No, that's the trick. If you're already playing a bunch of games and learning a bunch of games, then you don't have time to learn somebody's game that they want you to learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's.
So then the other example was when we were at Funky Town, and I'm gonna say you guys wanted to play Galactic Cruise because I knew I was out from the beginning. Right, yeah. I saw the size of the box and went.
Listen, the box is like as big as my body. It's like crazy, dude.
But you guys wanted to play it, and Jared said, "Okay, I'm gonna take the fall on this one, and I'm gonna sit and learn these rules for the next 2.5 hours."
Like on and off a little bit, but yeah, mostly.
And so we played 4 or 5 other games in the meantime.
I mean, yeah, we even got lunch and like, yeah, I mean, he just disappeared. We sanctioned him to a corner and we just kept playing. Yeah, we kept playing games.
This is not exaggerated.
Yeah, he just disappeared.
And learned it, and then you guys got to play, and we were in my college town, so I went to visit friends, so I didn't play. But how was that? Like, did he learn it? Did he do a good job?
No, he did. No, Jared always does a good job. So,
and it made it easier for you guys to just.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the trick. Like honestly, events like those, any type of gaming convention or whatever, like unless you have a designated teacher for that game, if not, like somebody has to sit down and read the rules last minute. Like, in this scenario, this is very different than a game night that was planned. So just let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. When you're at a convention, or a gaming weekend, like there are a shelf of games that everybody's pulling from that nobody knows anything about. And usually if it's like a really long game, that's how I approach it. Like he did there, is like somebody just needs to sit down and read through this rules before we even open a box. And so that is the best way to do it. And it works really well. As long as somebody's willing to do that. And I'm, between me and Jared, like we are totally fine to sit down and read the rules. So with that, yeah, it worked fantastic. Like it just, somebody having a generic understanding of the rule set is really helpful, because that way you can bounce ideas off them on like, okay, what happens when this happens? And they're like, oh, hold on, I know where that was in the rule book. So, because in a game like that, I mean, the rule book's like 40 pages. I don't know if it's actually 40 pages. There's a lot though. It's a hefty rule book.
I would believe it.
Yeah, that rule book was actually big because it just had a lot of illustrations and stuff. But it's just challenging because, yeah, a big game like that, somebody really does need to sit down. That's absolutely the best way to handle it. And it worked. You still come across rules that you're like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. So you have mid game, you kind of like, there's like a 5 to 10 minute window of like not playing because you're like trying to figure out the flow of operations of this rule or something. So, but yeah, I've definitely done something like that similar. Maybe not on such a large game, but even like a small game, like, hey, and we might have done that that weekend, but I've definitely done that where a group's finishing up a game. So I'm like, oh, you guys want to play this game next? Let me go get it. And then I sit and read the rules. And that way, by the time they're done, you sit at the table and you're ready. So that happens a lot. Like you start to, honestly, you find these like strategic ways to be gaming the most amount of time in scenarios like this. So that's the best way to handle it. It works really well. And that's the thing. This was different between that, like a weekend where you're kind of wanting to learn new games and nobody really knows any of the games, than a game night. Because a game night, like usually you have a game picked or a couple games picked. And so there's not really this, and you don't have time. Like if it's a 6 to 9 p.m. or 6 to 10, I mean, we can't be learning a game for 2 hours. We got to get moving. And so like, that's the other thing is like, you don't have time to sit there and read a rule book that night.
No, that's true. And that's like, even just with Critter Kitchen, which is probably a middleweight game, I didn't want to bring that to my non-serious gamer friends to learn. Like, I was like, this inaugural play has to be with people who know what they're doing. Yeah. And so that we recruited Derek and Ashley. We were like, help me. Because Jared's been moving. He's been busy. You've been busy. So I was like, And it was perfect, actually, because one of their favorites is Rival Restaurants. Which is very similar. Yeah,
that's a good game too.
And so they picked up on it right away, and we didn't lose that time. Like you're saying, it wasn't an hour-long thing. I asked Nathan, I said, can you watch, a how to play before they get here, and then teach it, and everybody picked it up. But I wouldn't take that to people who usually play party games and say, hey, we're doing this, and then watch their eyes roll back in their head for an hour.
Not gonna work.
So yeah, I think this is a little bit wild of a request to.
I think it's a little unreasonable. I don't think if this were to happen, if somebody were to do this to me a couple times, I'd eventually be like, I just don't think I can do that. So.
Well, we'll look at some comments. Top comment from It's the Doctor. Your friends are problems for pestering you after you've said no. But there are plenty of good reasons to ask someone else to learn and teach a game, even if you're the one bringing it. Some people really don't grasp rule books and glaze over trying to read them. Some people might be great at reading the rules, but terrible at explaining them. Personally, I have experienced many times where I wish I had been asked to read the rules and explain. because the person in my group did such a horrible job explaining that we were all confused and slowed down as a result. So no, they aren't problems for asking in the first place, and it's not necessarily just laziness, but if you've said no, they should respect your wishes.
Yeah. That's a good comment.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective because that's true. Some people really don't learn by reading.
Yeah.
They really need to experience it. And so maybe that's why they're coming to you for help.
I know, like, some people just don't do well with you teaching them, as there's that part. Like, they just want to get into it. My wife is like that. She's like, just give me a very, very basic thing and I want to play. And you just tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
So that works. Some people just aren't good at communicating rules. Not that they're not bad at communicating, but rules to a game is a little bit more challenging. It's a very different, honestly, like language is like, it's got to be very specific in the way you're teaching. It's not like a normal conversation. The way when you teach, it's like you have to, it's an order of operational thing. And if you're not good at, like, my brain does get a little scattered, so I have to be very intentional on how I'm teaching, because I kind of am kind of loose with my speech normally. Like, I just kind of like willy-nilly. When you're teaching a game, you can't really be like that. It's got to be very direct and to the point, and how, like, the operations of gameplay. And so if you're not good at that, or not, I mean, I wasn't good at it. I feel like I'm okay at it now. Like, you can get better at it. But if you're like, I just don't really want to learn how, then there's also that part too.
I think that's a really good point. I think you can ask if that's something you want, but if they say no, they say no.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that comment has so many responses.
That was a pretty good comment. Are they like in agreement with it or disagreement?
Let's see. Well, the first couple are like, yes, you've explained me. I'm the person that glazes over when I look at a rule book. And then someone disagrees and they're like, but you can watch videos and learn.
Right. So if you have trouble reading, or if you have trouble understanding everything by just one read, then watch the video first. That's how sometimes I do it. Even though, like, I can read a rule book and it makes sense to me, sometimes I don't feel like it. So I'll watch a video first.
Yeah.
Then I'll go back and read the rules to fill in the gaps.
When my office, there were a couple guys at my office that said, we want to play complicated board games. Mm-hmm. Who else wants to do it?
Right.
And I signed up, and we wanted to play Dune Imperium, which has already come up in this episode.
Absolutely.
And we took a lunch break, and we all took our lunch to a little conference room and watched a video on how to play. And then we watched some more on our own time. And then we got together, and it was still like, okay.
My brain.
Oh, there's so many things.
Yep.
You know, it just took, it took starting to move your piece and claiming the swordsman for the first time and going to the different factions and how that was actually going to work. Like, it very much took several steps of learning. But because I thought that was really handled well by my friend who started it, because he was
Absolutely.
like, I want to do this. We're going to make it as painless as possible when we all sit down for the first time.
I would love, and maybe you should teach me that game, because I did not have a good experience because of the rules, and our teacher was not very good. Speaking of bad teachers, it was at like it was at a convention, so he was distracted by other games going on. He was trying to teach multiple games at the same time. And so and he wasn't like, no offense to him, he just wasn't like the best teacher in general. So
sure.
It just had its issues. And so my brain was hurting. But then I don't have the rule book to sit down and like read. So then I'm just sit there like, okay, well, what do I do? And yeah, you just said the swordsman thing. I'm like, okay, I kind of remember that. Like, where that's kind of like a big deal. So yeah, there's a lot of little rules in that game specifically. Like, I could understand. Like, yeah, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, Like, I don't understand this. And some games aren't like that. Some games, like the complexity of the design is like one thing has to happen before another. And so you, for you to really feel that out, you do have to just play it.
I think they might come for me in the comments because I'm pretty sure now it's Swords Master instead of Swordsman.
Okay, gotcha. Well.
Sorry.
Oh, well.
I promise I play games.
It's okay.
But yeah, and that's an asymmetric one too.
Mm-hmm.
The same way, like Spirit Island is a beast to teach because it's so asymmetric. And that one I feel sort of bad because I don't want to be telling other people what to do.
Yeah.
But your first playthrough, you're like, okay, you probably need to do this.
Yeah, you really kind of, hey guys, you need to do this.
And then like your spirit's good at defense, whereas mine's good at offense. Like, let's team up, and you kind of have to go through that several times. But when you learn it, it's great.
Asymmetrical games are like the worst to teach. Like, I have a couple of them. They're great games, but oh my gosh, yes. I dread teaching them because of that fact of you're teaching so many different games, and then you're also like, you don't want to critique too much, but you're also like, okay, well, you kind of want to do this because that's what you're good at. And so it's like, oh, it's challenging because you are trying to like, the asymmetrical games are a beast to handle for teaching.
Okay. We've already done a heck of a lot of discussing.
Yeah.
But we're going to end on a discussion question anyway.
Okay, good.
So we're back on our /board games from a deleted account. And it just asked the question, what's your rules teach horror story? I put a lot of effort into learning and teaching, so I'm always mildly horrified at how lackadaisical people get when it comes to teaching. I once had someone opening the Hansa Teutonica rulebook and going, page 1, setup. I literally thought it was a joke, but no, they were going to read the book to us cover to cover.
Oh no.
Another time, someone taught Beyond the Sun by basically saying, it's easy. You just go here to trigger the actions, and then it's area majority over here. You'll figure it out as you go. We can start.
Wow. Okay. All right. Continue.
It got me wondering, what's the worst experience of teaching or learning that you've had?
Those sound terrible.
You're like, those are both horror
Those are
stories.
both terrible. Oh gosh. Well, I feel like I already spoiled one. Was a game night that I was invited to that I thought I wasn't going to teach, and then I ended up having to teach. So that was definitely on the list. I remember getting there. I guess I'll go into a little bit more detail because that was pretty bad. That's definitely on that is number one. So I'll try and find another one. But that was this guy invited a couple, me and another guy, in a group text.
Okay.
And so I thought it was just gonna be the three of us. Well, I show up and there's like the other guy's spouse is there, and then another person's gonna show up, and I'm like, well, this is only a 4-player game.
Oh no.
And anyway, so I'm like, okay, maybe, I don't know, maybe the girls have a plan. Well, we get into it, and I was invited there at like 7 p.m. At which point it was like 9:30 p.m. and we still hadn't gotten started yet. Not even getting started, as in open the box, get started, because something else happened. I don't know if you watched The Office, but the office party at Michael and Jan's is what this felt like. Like,
Okay.
this like the party, the food, nothing. Like the game never happened until like 10, and I was there at 6 or 7 or whatever. So anyway, we have finally realized, like, we start opening the box. He's like, yeah, I think this is how it works. Like, I don't really know how to play. And I'm like, oh no, like, you don't know how to play. What do you mean you don't know how to play? And so I'm like scrambling in my head. I'm like, I have to learn this game like in 10 minutes. I'm speed reading, missing things. And so anyway, we eventually get started, and in the specific game, there was like a training mission basically to like help you learn. Well, I didn't read the rules good enough to understand how the training mission worked, and so we did it wrong. And so then everybody's confused on rules, and then it's just a disaster. And then he also like was like, hey, well, these other people want to play. And I'm like, well, I think it only fits 4 people. Well, he's like, well, they can just like share. And I'm like, ugh. So anyway, that was definitely number 1. I didn't leave there until like, I think 12:30 in the morning. And I got there at like 6 or 7 and we didn't get started until like 10 or 11. So a wild experience. But yeah, I think that would definitely top anything for me. I'm trying to think of another one where it just went badly. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I mean, we can just react to the ones people submit if you'd rather.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I don't know. That one just takes the cake. It kind of washes out all the other ones. Like that one's like the worst one.
There were just so many things going wrong at one time.
It was so bad. Yeah, did anybody comment what theirs are?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I want to hear what other people's are.
I want to react to the one that he referenced at the beginning.
Okay.
So there's this thing that I used to do as a toddler where I couldn't actually read, but I would open books and read them to everyone. So there's these cute home videos of me opening books and going, Chapter 7.
Yes.
And it was always Chapter 7, regardless of what page I opened to. And so if someone opened the book and was like, page 1, setup, I would immediately think it's a joke.
Not good.
I would be like, oh, haha, so funny.
Yeah,
great joke. And then they're like, no, I could do that if you were going to read the rules to me. But that's really funny.
Now that you say that, I think that has actually happened to me. I wasn't teaching though. Somebody else was. I would never do that to somebody. That's mean. I do think I don't know, maybe it was like a more of a conventions like meeting, but like somebody sat there and just started reading word for word. And I'm like, I'm going to hand this to you. You take it and read it quietly and then tell me how to play.
And then tell me. Yeah. Oh, geez.
Yeah, I would lose my mind, I think, in that scenario.
Top comment is from Night 25th. And it says, welcome to my game club. We have a dude who owns 1 million games, but never learns the rules until the game is on the table and everyone is waiting for him to teach.
Oh, no.
A dude who explains 90% of the rules, but in random order and always forgets some really important detail. A dude who hates teaching, has poor language skills, and refuses to admit when he's wrong. So we'll say things like, yes, of course I said A, but that clearly meant B.
Oh, gosh.
A dude who teaches starting from the end of the rule book and going backwards, so you immediately know how to score victory points, but you need 20 minutes to learn what you can actually do on your turn.
Oh.
And me, who loves all of the above dearly, but long ago decided to take the duty of teaching upon myself. I may not be the best explainer, but at least I will teach the actual rules.
You know, what's funny is teaching the actual rules is highly valuable. Yeah. I would like to say for the person that teaches the end first, there are some games where I do that. I will teach how you win and what like the point system is and kind of explain that and then go, what is an action? What do you do on your turn?
That's very true. And I think I've approached Flamecraft in a similar way sometimes because you get the card that tells you what you can do on your turn.
Yeah.
So that's like an easier reference. So you can kind of not put so much import on that section and talk instead about moving to a store and what that looks like and, you know, different things.
Right.
In that regard. And it also reminds me, so I was in marching band. I was a band kid. State champions 2010. But we used to learn our shows. Well, we wouldn't learn them strictly back to front. But our director always used to say, it's so much easier to go from a dark room to a light room than a light room to a dark room.
Okay.
And so it would be like, if you know the last 2 minutes of the song really well, then you can start working back and you'll have a better show because instead of starting strong and like fading off, you'll kind of hit your stride. Because do you know anything about marching band?
Not really. No, I was never in marching band. I do more. Yeah.
So you drum, but
I drum, but
you don't have to carry them.
No. I don't do. Yeah, I didn't learn like that. Like I guess classical or band or any of that style.
Yeah,
it's very different.
So for football games, because this was high school.
Mm-hmm.
So for football games, the first couple games of the year, you might be doing just the closer.
Okay.
Or just the opener. Like you're sort of slowly piecing it all together. And it's not until like October that you're performing the whole show.
Okay.
So you would learn these important parts and then fill in the rest as you went along. So there's some validity to that.
Yeah.
I think.
Absolutely.
But then there's some games I could imagine that not working for.
Yeah. To support the person that was saying that this person teaches all the rules, but in weird orders, that is not helpful at all, like whatsoever. That doesn't help anybody's mind. So you got to teach it in a unified way. And teaching the end is sometimes helpful first, like you teach the end game. But I think in general, even if you teach like how a game ends in the scoring, and then you go back to the beginning and teach how a turn works, is always good. And go that way, go from front to back.
Yeah. After
that, I think I would suggest that. I don't think going in between and hopping around is ever good, and teaching from the end to the front is not good either.
Having like an ADHD approach to teaching rules would be a real struggle.
Yeah. That doesn't work for me, so. Yeah,
you've gotta, if you need to consult the book and go page by page to know what you're talking about, do that. Because if you're like, oh, and then this, and then then I'm lost. I've got nothing.
And you gotta give people the benefit of the doubt. I guess I was there at one point, especially early on, where you kind of forget things. You're like, oh shoot, like there's this part, or hey, wait, one more thing. So like I get it, but also the way I've learned how to be more intentional is just like before I teach it, just like look over the rules and just like think in my head, what are the main topics that I want to cover here? And we'll get into the nitty gritty later, but I can come up with a strategy in my head of teaching. So
Prestigious Day 385 says, it's always about knowing your audience. For some people, the Beyond the Sun example can be a good way to teach it. For others, it's a horror story. I always try to get the general vibe and teach according to the mood. Worst are the chaotic teachers who try to convey all the rules beforehand, but lack at least basic order of teaching things. My horror example in rules teaching was with the simple game 6 Nimmt. It's normally like a 1-minute teach, maybe 2. But there was that one guy already familiar with the game who decided to interrupt me after almost every word to add some strategy tip to fill up the rules I missed. I didn't even have a chance to tell them. So after a few minutes, when everyone was really confused, I told him to do the teaching himself. And he just told everybody something along the lines, it's pretty easy. You just lay those cards down in order and then take them when there's 5 in a row, and whoever has the most cows is a loser. Let's play. It was complete disaster.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I do have to watch myself on this a little bit, because I feel like lately I have had Nate learn more games. And then when we're teaching them the second time, I'll start teaching them, like Sea Salt and Paper, for example. He learned it. We played it together. We took it to a friend's house. We were going to play, and I just started explaining the rules because I was trying to be helpful and I knew he was tired. And he kind of like started helping, and I was like, oh, do you want me to back off and like let you do it? Because I think I forgot something or said something wrong. And he was like, no, it's this. And I don't like stepping on top of each other.
Sure.
I think it needs to be one person. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna let you take this.
How do I say this? Okay. When there's a couple that one person, or they both definitely know the game, and one person is teaching, I feel like this happens a lot, where the other person in the relationship also takes over. This happens to me as well. So I just think it's funny when you were explaining that story because I know I've been there. So yes, I think in general people do like one person teaching is definitely the best. If somebody's like, oh, I've played this before, and then they start like interjecting, I don't like that either. Because I've been the third party in that conversation of like, I'm the one learning the game, and then somebody's teaching it, and then somebody's interjecting about rules, and I'm like, I can't focus. I need to focus on the one person on like how to play it. Just refrain from your strategic guides until after the rules explanation, I think would be best.
I absolutely agree. I think strategy when we're going. Don't tell me beforehand I'm going to lose it. Like, or I'm going to fixate on that and might not actually do the best thing.
I do think it's fair to like, if somebody's explaining it, like, again, especially if you know the person, they're explaining it wrong. Like, I think it's okay to like, hey, I don't know if that's how that's played actually. So I think that's totally fair. I think it depends on the situation, but yeah, that's totally fair as well. Like if they're not explaining it or they forgot something that's important, like I think it's okay to bring that up.
Here's another one that is probably words, but I don't get it. Cepos Balent Zero? Cepos Balent Zero? I don't know. Tell me what your name is.
Yeah. Clarify for us.
Someone taught us how to play Too Many Bones at a convention. They went through every component and told us to have fun and let me know if you have questions. They didn't tell us how to play the game, how a turn looks, what we're supposed to do, just what the components are. I'm still baffled to this day.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Too many questions on too many bones.
So they just like sat him down at the table and said, hey, here's a game.
This does this.
Let me know. Let me know if you need help.
Yeah. There's a response by CyberWookie. It says, I had that happen once. Dude spent a solid 20 minutes teaching a game, got to the end, asked if there's any questions. I said, yeah, how do you actually play this game? He explained little bits and bobs of mechanics, but never said what a turn is, never said how we interact with those mechanics or how the game ends.
What a nightmare. Oh, this sounds like a nightmare. I mean, yeah, again, we talked about it a little bit. If anything that I definitely make sure that I teach is what do I do on my turn? Like, honestly, I think that's my like favorite tagline of teaching a game. Like sometimes I'll teach, okay, like, you know, the object of the game is to score the most victory points. And to do that, you collect some of this, and this. All right. Now, what do you do on your turn? I think those words have come out of my mouth like a million times. What do you do on your turn? On your turn, blank. That's like essential. Like tell people what they're going to do on their turn. I don't care if you say anything else. At least that gets you started.
Yeah. That's the basics.
Yep.
Gotta hit the basics.
Absolutely. You got to start there. You can't go anywhere unless you start with what do I do on my turn? Like what
can I do?
How do we get this game moving is always the question.
Right. Well, any parting thoughts?
Oh man. Yeah. Just teach the game.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Teach the game the right way. No, I mean, I think all these are obviously they're challenging topics. I mean, people are all different and they all learn different ways and they all play games different ways and they all like different games. But the main thing is to have fun and play the game by the rules unless you come up with your own house rules. But simplify it a little bit. Make things easier on yourself. You know, it shouldn't make it complicated. More complicated than it needs to be. So
I think, you know, it's okay for there to be a little bit of insecurity in this process.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's comfortable with public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is comfortable with their cognition and then translation of that to other people. So it's okay to be uncomfy. But if you take that on, or someone else takes that on, respect that responsibility.
Yeah. You know, respect other people and their time. And when you do that, you're going to have fun. So, yeah.
Well, those were our stories on today's table topic. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Tell us about it. Maybe you have a story of your own you want to share. We'd love to bring it to the table. Check out our links in the show notes. Good luck on your next game, and we'll catch you again here on Table Topics.